Yeah,
shout
out Damian Priest, eh?
Well, dude,
oh my god,
dude,
what a fucking machine,
bro. They've got
adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
They've got to split him up from the Judgment Day, right? Like that's got to happen.
I don't know.
They've teased it a little bit.
I've never been a big Judgment Day fan. I'm not really a fan of anything that's like kind of like grungy or like in some sort of way spooky. I know that's just me though. Like that's how I am. But
yeah,
if it's good supernatural spooky, then yeah. But if it's like that, like talking about like Raw with the Wyatt 6 and stuff, like that was pretty special.
But that was really well done.
We'll get to that later. I mean,
let's get into it now, bro. Fuck it. Like let's get into it, man. We saw that Wyatt 6 debut. And it was something that, obviously the dirt sheet marks have been promoting been talking about and trying to put over for months.
All the QR codes and everything, yeah.
And I think that what we saw was amazing entertainment, incredibly cinematic.
Yeah, it was evil. It was evil as shit, man. Because like for them to also go back into Gorilla and the place is trash. There's bodies on the floor. Chad Gable's looking like he's been shot in the head. Like,
yeah, man. I just feel like, I mean, fuck. Like, it's just, where can you take this?
It's gone. They fucked it. They've already fucked it.
Bro, I feel like you've already, you've killed someone on live television, bro. Like, you implied that you capped Chad Gable in the head, bro. Like, and then you capped, but even then, it's like, you have Gunther, who you've built up for the better part of a couple of years, maybe the last few years through NXT UK, NXT, and then in the main roster, giving him probably the longest reign as an Intercontinental champion. He's a bad idea to put us there on the top of the bodies, bro. Like, he should be the guy that goes to battle and fight these guys. You know what I mean? Like, he's the guy that they've pushed so hard. And I feel like by having him and, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a burial, bro. Like, I feel like they should have just had no name security or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, bro. Like, I get it. They had to have star names to have that shock value and stuff. But I just think that they killed a lot of their guys, and I just don't see how they can go further from now, because let's face it, you're probably going to end up seeing like Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis tag teaming facing the Street Profits in 2 months' time. Unless
like it was a very, very, it was one of the more shocking sort of graphic things you've ever seen on Raw in a very long time. Which is cool, because it's a hint of like, some of like the old era, like the Attitude Era, all that stuff like that. But I think unless next week's episode of Raw is something pretty special, like if it's like, because the whole roster's been wiped out, like people should be kind of scared to go to work in a way, or like at least have some sort of consequence there where like Triple H has got to address it, or some sort of management, because the whole roster was like fucking was laid out to the point where like people were dead. There was a guy with like this blood stain on the wall. That Rollins? I don't even know what that was, but the guy was dead.
That was the other thing too. You didn't really see who was laying out and stuff. Like there were like silhouettes of bodies and stuff, and like I just said, the guy that was up against the wall and there was a big blood splatter behind him. You're like, who's that? Like the only person I recognized, because I haven't watched it back, I've only watched it the one time, and my kids were reacting to it as well. Because of course they're like, "Oh, Dad, this is really scary." I'm like, "Hey, it's okay, it's just entertainment. No one's actually." But then you see Chad literally like, I was like, "Oh shit, okay." Like,
I mean, well, that's the thing, bro. Like with professional wrestling, you want it to have kids entertainment, but then when you try and pull something like that, like, bro, I'm telling you now, my kids aren't into wrestling at all, bro. Like, my daughter wants to come to shows that I'm on, but it's like, how do I bring my daughter along to a wrestling show when I'm running around? But I feel like if I was to, like, for her to be into that and to be sitting there going, I've got to watch Monday Night Raw, and then next thing you know, she's sitting there going, yeet, down since day one. Who's scared? Down one.
Yeah.
Who's scared? Down one. Ooh. And then next thing you know, like that sort of shit goes on the screen, bro. Like that's that's only traumatizing the kids. Us as adults sit there and go, "That's some dope ass shit," right? But that's the stuff that can turn a generation of kids completely off the product, and that's where it's like you want to have both markets. You want to play in that creative field of being, adult entertainment. Then that's kind of where you got to be. But bro, like even when you look at the Attitude Era, it was labeled and it was rated at a MA 15 plus, right? Mm-hmm. Where now where's WWE rated? It probably isn't because it's on streaming services and it probably doesn't even require a rating, right?
No, and that's it. It's not PG anymore because especially like when you've got like Pat McAfee screaming every time Strowman's on the screen, he's like, "Look at that big son of a bitch!" And your kids are like, "Oh, you said a naughty word." Like that. It hasn't been like that for so long though. Like, it's because we've been in this PG era for what? 19 years? Would that be about right? Like 2005, 2006?
Yeah, 2008 I think was when it was really
really pushed. So like, there's been a little bit of changes, but then it's crazy to see where they're going. But like as we said, entertainment wise, shock factor, it was beautiful. It was cinema. It was done so well. But at the same time, but at the same time, you're like, where do you go from here? Like, at least when Bray came back at Royal Rumble, he literally just walked through the door, blew out the lantern, and that was it. They could have done the same thing, or even like, as you said, killed security or jobbers or whatever. But it's a big, because now you're like, well, where's Chad Gable fall into this? Like, you had him break up with Alpha Academy and everything else to being dead. Like, and he's meant to be this massive heel who's now just been attacked by the Wyatt Six. So
it's